And as a people, I feel like we are motivated out. With everything we dealt with last year with MelaninCon, with the DEI sponsors pulling out to appease Trump, I just wanted to pivot and still put out a message and still put out something impactful. These workshops are designed. I know the panelists on the back end have been seeing a lot of the work, but now you all get to see the panels and the questions and everything is curated to get real tangible information. Whether you watching it live or whether you watching a playback, it's meant to give you something to better your life and your business. So fast forward, we here with Trevon. I'm saying that right?
You nailed it, brother. You nailed it.
All right. I'm here with Trevon with the NAACP. Welcome, brother.
Man, honored to be with you all. I saw the honor as well, and kudos to you all for the amazing work as well. It speaks to the fact that just what you said, you keep your head down, you do the work, and somebody's gonna take note of it. So honored to be with you all, and congratulations on the honor.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. We gonna get right into it. I know you're a busy man with busy things, so we gonna get right into it. With everything you built, your career across technology, higher education, government, and now one of the most iconic civil rights organizations there ever will be, NAACP. In one sentence, how would you describe your personal brand?
My personal brand. Okay. I would say my personal brand is about turning purpose into strategy, and then turning strategy into impact. I believe in helping organizations tell stories and that move people to change outcomes. So I'm action oriented. I believe we can do this through a number of passionate things. And so purpose to strategy, strategy to impact, man. That's what I really believe in.
That's beautiful. When people hear your name, Trevon C. Williams, what do you want them to feel or think about when they're speaking of you?
Depends on who you asking or what day, I guess. I would probably say I just want somebody specifically. If we're talking from a career background, I would say I want somebody to hear when they hear my name. I want them to hear that there's someone who can turn ideas into something that matters. I think we live in a space now where people live in the space of what if and conceptualizing in their minds. I'm vehement about let's turn it into something actionable. I would rather fail trying than to fail thinking about it in my head a million times over. So I want someone to know that if you call me and ask for me and ask for my expertise, that I'm trying to turn whatever you're telling me into something tangible and real, and I'm going to push you to do just that. So I'm about making ideas matter. That's what I want somebody to think of when they think of Trevon.
And that's beautiful. And what people don't really understand or fathom is all the infrastructure that comes behind a brand or a person.
Yes.
Like a lot of Black business fail because they don't have the proper branding to get their message out. Like, what's $1 million idea if nobody can understand it or nobody even see it? So the things you do speaks highly, and the things you do is greatly needed, especially for whether you're starting now or whether you're already there. Your work is needed. So many entrepreneurs and professionals struggle to clearly explain what they do. What is brand clarity? Why is brand clarity so hard? And where do people go wrong?
I think you said it even on your setup there, man. It's brand clarity is hard because too often people are too obsessed with what they do instead of why it matters. I need to be able to express to you why what I'm doing for you is going to impact your life. So it's cool that you have a bakery. What is that bakery doing for me in terms of a measure of convenience for my lifestyle, or making sure that I don't have to take care of the homework for my kids and then also have to whip up something for this weekend for this party I whipped into. Selling people on the impact of what your brand offers rather than the fact that I do a bakery. Okay, well, what differentiates what you're doing from what somebody else is doing? And I think a lot of times people get hung up on the skill set itself. There's a lot of gifted people doing the same thing. What differentiates you more than anything else? So brand clarity is so hard because a lot of times the impact part is the part that many people miss on. If you can describe your services or your credentials, but you forget about your audience in many cases, you've missed the point. How does what you're doing help is what real brand clarity is truly about.
Um, and what do you feel like? You said a lot, and a lot of that matters. And I'm also learning too as we going because as a person with a brand,
Mhm.
I don't mean to go off script too because I
Please.
might have some questions too.
Keep talking, bro.
When it comes to brand clarity, though, what advice would you give? This is actually one of the questions. You don't work at every level from a legacy organization to small business to startups.
Mhm.
Uh, how does brand messaging differ between a all of those brands?
Oh,
Legacy.
man. Um, Difference in that they all have to be measured based off of impact. Difference in that they all have significance in terms of the audiences that they're trying to reach, but the methodology doesn't change. It's just who you're speaking to. I always say this is like who you talking to, what you talking about, and why are you talking. Those are the
Uh-huh.
those are the messages that I that resonate no matter what industry you're associated with. So, who's your target audience? In many cases, people are trying to be too broad into their message and who they're trying to speak to from a brand standpoint.
Guilty.
And in reality is that being very niche in some cases will allow you the impact. I think most of people in most cases don't realize that one of the greatest things that you can do from a brand standpoint is your conversion, right? So it's like, okay, I got a massive audience. I got a bunch
Uh-huh.
of followers, great. But you ain't doing that. You just got a bunch of people watching you fail, right? How many of those people do you convert into actually taking action? That's when you can find out whether or not you're actually doing something and whether or not you're being efficient in what you're doing. So all of the industries, whether I was in education, whether I was in technology, or now being in the civil rights space, the methodology or the formula is the same. It's just how the tone changes, who I'm talking to about, and then what are the niche components within each one of those, excuse me, that I need to pull from. As a legacy organization like the NAACP, I have to pull from the fact that we are a legacy organization who is trying to reintroduce ourselves to many cases to an audience who may only know
Hmm.
us through a history book. So
Yes,
how do I make
yes, yes,
the
yes.
organization relevant now? Education, it may be about the benefits that I'm offering to you for the long-term sustainability of what you're trying to do with your career. Technology could be about the innovation. Whatever those things are, you have to carve those things out. And the reality is, from a brand standpoint, is that that's not the sexy part. That's not most of the parts that people get excited about are, the logo and the slogan and all that other stuff. Messaging framework is the yawn, is the oh my god, this is boring. But really, if you can stabilize your brand around who you're talking to, what you're talking about, and why are you the one talking, it allows you to move more poignantly, more meticulously, and understanding that whether or not, and then you also being able to measure whether or not you're successful from a brand standpoint, because I have a target in mind, and now I'm able to measure the success of it because I figured out who I was talking to at the end of it. I probably said a lot there, but I think the formula doesn't
Oh
change.
no, that's perfect. As because I feel like you're talking to me, like literally, like these are things I struggle with. So
Absolutely.
uh, it's very in a format that is easy understandable. And I imagine like you have discernment with the people and the organizations that you work with before taking their money. In terms of like that, what would be a question a potential client or somebody who's just starting out already have everything built? What's a common question that you will want them to answer before even spending $1 on marketing or for someone like you?
And this is me as a customer, or me as the vet or the client themselves.
If you could answer at both points.
Okay, so ask me again. I'm gonna give you from both scenarios. I'm sorry.
Before spending $1 on marketing or a
Mhm.
person like you, what would when it comes to brand clarity or and branding and creativity, what would be a question that a person should be able to answer before even coming to you?
Why should why if why why should they go to you versus going to somebody else? Uh,
Uh-huh.
I think that would be the most important thing to be able to answer itself. I can spend my dollar anywhere. What makes your value proposition better more specific, more identifiable than the next person, right? So whatever I can tell you in terms of what differentiates me from my competitor, it can be the distance. I can get it to you faster. I can get it to you in a more authentic. I can get it to you in a more creative. Whatever that different thing is that you want to stand on, that's the thing that you should be able to stand on. So from a marketing standpoint, and I say this all the time, there's a lot of companies, big and small, that spend a tremendous amount of money pushing stuff out that they have not thought all the way through. And what you're actually doing is amplifying chaos. Because if you don't know what you're trying to accomplish with all you did was put a big platform up and say, see my scars, see my failures, see my fractures, because your audience is going to, or the audience is going to tell you where it falls apart in many cases as well. We've actually had this experience with the NAACP as well, where somebody will offer the association money, and we don't take money, we don't take any government funding at all, but some partner may want to do something on our platform. We have a pretty large digital platform, and they'll say, we'll give you all this money, but we'll put it on your digital platform. We want it to be on your digital platform, and we'll say, it's not going to respond the way you think it's going to respond. The audience is not going to respond because we've built a familiarity with our audience. They know our voice, they know our cadence, right? And so me just posting it on my platform doesn't necessarily do what you think it's going to do, because my audience, it's like somebody yelling my son's name right now. They might sheepishly look around the corner to see who it is. It's different than if I yell up the stairs and say Nathan. It means something different. So with a brand, it's important for you to figure out how you differentiate yourself and then build a bit of a consistency over a period of time, so that as individuals get more acclimated to you, it's not even thought anymore about whether or not I should engage with your brand. You've built a bit of a resume, a familiarity with me, and as a result of that, now I'm willing to be a consumer and deal with you on that level. That's what I would think off the top of my head.
Oh, see, that's needed.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not as skilled as you, but I deal with that with my
Take it back. Take it back. You are as skilled as me. We skilled in different ways, brother. Take it back.
No, you have to be skilled in different ways, man.
Yes, sir.
That's our problem. We can't be a master of all.
Exactly.
There's people that you hire to be a master at different levels.
Absolutely.
I deal with that with the Pod Standard. Like a brand would hit me up for promotion, and I'll be like, I can't take your money. And they'll be like, why? And I'll be like, nobody's not gonna like that post, bro. I promise. And nobody's not gonna buy that product. Not my audience, because my audience is curated for the things that I curated it for. Yeah. And you selling a T-shirt with no story behind it, I can't do nothing for you.
Exactly.
Speaking of that, how do you know when your message is actually landing with your audience versus when you just think it is?
That is the greatest puzzle, and I actually, I think a lot of people sometimes end up in marketing. I went to school for marketing. This was my love. I fell in love with marketing watching Boomerang before I was supposed to be watching it.
Oh wow, that's a great movie.
So this was on purpose. I did this on purpose. But when people start using your message, start digesting your content, using it in the way that you designed it. And that's when I know I've been successful. When I can measure the conversions surrounding what I did. A few years ago, when we were doing our theme for the NAACP convention, the theme I came up with was All In, because we were in Las Vegas.
Oh, that's tight.
Yeah, it worked out.
That was last year, 2024?
2024. 25 was I don't even remember what 25 is now. I'm thinking about it. Bad memories at the end of 25. But we did All In, and hearing people across the country during rallies just yelling out All In, and people responded All In. It did what it was supposed to do from a campaign standpoint. I know it resonated from that standpoint. Unfortunately, even a few years ago when we did the We Are Done Dying campaign, and we were able to spread that across the country, and our units picked that up and carried it across, that when your message is being evangelized by those who are not sitting in Washington, D.C., or are not a part of your national team, and they take it and they run with it, that's when I know that it's starting to hit. Quite frankly, in my space in particular, when those who are outside of your space, when politicians start using your talking points and start using your message to make their finer point, okay, well, we must have hit a switch in some way, shape, or form. That's when I know that I've been largely successful. The adoption of the message itself, that's when we know we've been successful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you have marketed to government, commercial, and community audience. How do you shift your approach when the audience change, like
Mm-hmm.
while still staying true to the brand or whatever brand? So, like, just speaking on just the NAACP, how do y'all switch? How do you switch?
Yeah, I think the message framework, like a part I said, the less sexy part is the part that allows you to be able to switch very meticulously. But then also, even from an NAACP standpoint, there is a tone and an intentionality behind how we talk to our customer base, which is our members and units all across the country. There's a way
Mhm.
how we speak to our partners who are trying to invest in the organization itself. There's a way how we speak to elected officials, etc. And there's a tone in how we talk to haters and people who we coming after and trying to, we have
Oh,
a
y'all definitely got that.
we definitely got that. But it's really just about us carrying out the if then scenarios for each one of those. So what is the elevator pitch for each one of those potential areas? How do I talk to a potential member of the association? How do I talk to a potential investor about the
Mhm.
organization? I often say this is that it's singing from the same sheet of music, just different notes. That's
Uh-huh.
really the case. Like your brand is just how does it resonate with a different audience depending on demographic, depending on background, depending on level of influence itself. And you shape those messages themselves, and then you build your brand around how it shows up and how it's presented in those spaces itself. It requires a lot of thought and meticulous strategy. But when you do it right, it allows you to move very, very quickly when those moments come. So you're not having to recreate it each time. It allows you
Mhm.
to go into your file cabinet, pull out the message that resonates the most, and then your brand should support it with both your graphics and your look and your feel. So there's a level of consistency around it.
Oh, that's a gem.
Yeah.
That question, that's a good question. That's a good answer too. Uh, for someone just starting out, how do you identify their target audience without having a big budget for research?
So what I would say in most cases is get a sense on who is engaging with your potential product or service early. Understand what they're talking about. Most cases now, without a big budget, you're going to be able to get a pretty decent sense on what type of audience is engaging or what type of audience you're engaging with very early, based off of digital footprints. Most platforms and different things like that have analytics dashboards, different things like that. That in most cases are not going to wipe you out. In most cases, you don't really need a big budget. I mean, most you can get analytics right now on your Instagram.
Oh yeah,
You can
even this Zoom analytics.
Zoom is going to give you analytics, going to tell you how long the platform stayed open. It's going to tell you how many people joined. You can get a sense on what your customer behavior is based off of some of the things that are just sort of ready made now. Data is driving much of these things in many cases as well. I would say in some cases, and I would say this sensitively, even from a social media standpoint, what is your audience saying about your potential brand in some respects? If you're getting feedback, what type of feedback are you getting? Building a profile around what that audience looks like. So if you sold 100 items, what is the profile of those 100 people? Are they,
Mm,
30, there's 30 to 40% of those people of color? Are they women between the ages of 18 and 35? Okay, well, I may have hit a sweet spot with a particular audience. Maybe I need to target them a little bit more and then figure out whether or not I'm having more success there. I think a lot of times, even from our standpoint organizationally, more than half of Black America is 32 years of age or younger. So,
mm,
in order for me to make the organization more appetizing to a younger demographic, some of the things that I'm doing online is not for my seasoned NAACP. It's not for my mama, it's not for my grandmother. It's for my nephew who's 17 and trying to get him into the mix for the long game, right? So,
mm.
and we also have to come to terms with that within our own space. Every message is not for everybody, and you're not supposed. If you're trying to hit everything, you're gonna do it wrong. It's impossible. It's impossible. You need to figure out who's engaging with your content, who's engaging with your brand, what audience you're trying to target, and then figure out the best method to gauge that, because that's the way to get the best metrics around it. Otherwise, you're just gonna be like, well, what about this? And what about that? What about that? And you're just gonna walk yourself into a corner, everything up, man. It's too expensive to be wrong about this stuff.
Oh yeah. Currency and social currency.
Yes.
You get it wrong socially, it's just as worse as if you got it wrong monetarily.
100%. 100%. Yep.
We see it every day online.
Mm-hmm.
You answer like 3 questions with that answer, by the way. We just skipped all the way down. What role does cultural competency play in reaching Black audience specifically? And why do so many brands get it wrong? Now that because, we see every day.
Oh man, I said this. I just had a board meeting in New York maybe 2 weeks ago, and I said culture cannot be decoration when it's making so much cake for so many people. Mm-hmm. It can't, like, our culture is revenue. Our culture is legacy defining. Our culture is moral compass. It has too much to do with the long-term sustainability of not just this country, but our community as a whole. I think a lot of times people get culture wrong because they're seeking to take from it without actually looking to invest in it first and foremost. And then also they're not looking to actually understand it. You see it all the time, and I think y'all probably experience. I'm a church boy. You see people come to church. Hey,
I'm from the South, right?
Yeah. You see people come to church, and they were like, "Oh, the church service was so entertaining." Well, we ain't trying to entertain you. We're having an experience. Now, if you embrace the experience, you might have a deeper appreciation for what's taking place. Culture's no different. If you have a deeper understanding for what you're engaging with, I had an opportunity to go to Ghana 3 years ago. And just being in that space and being able to absorb that opened my understanding to, like, in one case, it's like, we ain't really got it as bad as we think we got it in some cases. 2, it's amazing how much strength you gain by sitting around, looking around, and everybody looking like you, sounding like you, the messages resonating with you. Appreciation around culture that way allows you to be affirmed and allows you to work in a way that is much more innovative, allows you to take sort of the protection off, and allows you to operate at a level of efficiency that I don't even think this nation has seen yet. So why is culture so important? Because if it's truly nourished and allowed to be unlocked in a way that it could be, the same people that's talking about trying to make something great again have not seen the greatest parts of this nation yet. It's not even possible yet. When our culture, I'm only talking about us right now, you can talk about some other when our culture is really allowed to be appreciated, invested in, and amplified, and given the authority that it rightfully deserves, there is no cap on what we can accomplish, not just for our own legacy, for our own families, but for this nation. The nation is benefiting already from it. Amazing. Imagine what they would do if they actually gave it the authority that it rightfully deserves.
And that's what they're scared of.
That's what they're scared of.
Absolutely. Oh, man. Gems on gems on gems.
I appreciate
it. Your session so lit. I might have I schedule you for a part 2. The next one is the tangibility that I'll be talking about when it comes to speaking on panels and things like that. Let's talk value proposition. How do you define it in plain terms for someone who has never heard that phrase before?
Value proposition. Can someone understand it simply? Like, can you explain your value proposition in less than 10 seconds? Does it differentiate you from somebody who's sitting next to you who may be doing something similar? And would someone pay for the value as you've been able to describe it? That's value proposition. I think a lot of times people are trying to tie value proposition to slogans.
You about to get into the next question.
I'm sorry, jumped ahead. But yeah, value propositions is about It kind of goes back to what we were talking about. You know, who you are, who you talking to, what you talking about, why you get to talk. Like, what differentiates you in that respect? Can you explain it in short terms? Is it different than the person sitting next to you? Does the person who is hearing it value or find a differentiation in what you're saying versus the person next to you that says, I'd rather do this than that? That to me is a
Mm-hmm.
value proposition in some cases.
So like I said, you was segueing into the next question. When you say slogan, I view that as a tagline.
Mm-hmm.
So, what's the difference between a value proposition and a tagline?
Yeah, taglines are just creative expression.
Mm-hmm.
A tagline, a value proposition is strategic clarity. It's telling somebody where we're going. It's cool for everybody to get all riled up, and it's like if you I played football in high school. If you played and everybody gets all riled up in the locker room and they yelling and screaming and headbutting, great, cool. Then you get out there and you ain't got no plays called. It's like, well, how we finna score? How we gonna get in the end zone? What are we actually doing to be able to reach our destination? Value proposition is tied more to your vision, where we're going, because people get excited about a destination. They get excited
Mm-hmm.
about you selling them on an experience that you're hoping that they'll take that journey with you. That's what your brand is taking somebody and say, hey, come with me real quick. I'm gonna show you something that's next level. And they feel a part of it. There's people who swear by Adidas because of a nostalgia that's associated with it. There's somebody who says, I ain't wearing nothing but Nike because they had a dunk or something at one day. Look, I'm taking somebody on a journey and now I've tied it to you in a certain way. Well, that expression of what they experience is just do it or something of those magnitude. That's the creative tagline. But where we're taking you on that journey, that's the value proposition. The value
Oh,
proposition is athletic apparel that is culturally relevant, but then also helps you perform at a different level. That's the value proposition. I'm just saying it cute to keep your attention
mm-hmm.
alongside it. And I think too many times the people get too caught up with the taglines. It's like really, really good marketing curbside, but your house is gutted. Like ain't nothing going on the inside once you get inside. So I think we should spend more time. Again, it's not the sexy part, but when you get that part right, it makes things like taglines and slogans and creative moments online. It makes it go quicker because you know where you're trying to take somebody.
So, how do you stress test that or A/B test that? Because just because you think a hit, it may not be a hit. So, how do you go about stress testing all that?
Man, I feel fast. I
Mm-hmm.
try stuff. I
Mm-hmm.
think too often, and my team would tell you this. I think most creatives feel like this. If you're sitting on a call for very, very long, and we're talking too much, and we're not come to a realization of what we're trying to achieve, you've already lost my attention. Tell me what we're trying to do, and then we can think around the strategy in order to get there. But if we're just on the phone talking about scenarios and okay, what are we trying to accomplish? That's the I think the difference in many cases. You have to just try it. You have to figure it out. Now, I'm not saying just go out there and just throw all your money away. Figure out figure out the segmentation that makes the most sense to you. Invest enough where you can be able to test it enough to be able to figure out whether or not there's a behavior associated with it. But I fail fast. Digital allows you in some cases to be able to try stuff very, very quickly, figure out if it's having some success, and then be able to pivot in some cases as well. But in some cases, you just have to try it, figure it out, give it some runway, and then in some cases, the other part of this is sometimes we abandon stuff too quickly. You got to let
Mm-hmm.
stuff get out into the market for a period of time.
Like catching out of stock too quick.
Yes, yes, yes. Like okay, you if you pull your you fishing and then you pull your rail you pull it back, your line in big too quick. Well, you ain't catching nothing. Oh, ain't nothing biting. It's over. Oh, okay. Sometimes you're gonna have to sit for a minute and rest and figure out whether or not you're having the level of success. So give yourself a realistic timeline. Build out the strategic part. It's not the sexy part, but it allows you to be able to move at the rate that you need to. But I think if we do that part right, test it appropriately, try some stuff. That's one of the greatest things my boss told me when I joined the association. I'll be there almost 7 years in June.
Congratulations.
Appreciate that, man. She said I had some ideas around some stuff. She was like, go do it, fail fast. Fail fast. Like if you're gonna do it, try it right now. Figure it out. See whether or not there's some success with it. If it's not gonna work, if it doesn't work, pull it back in. Learn from the lesson. Let's figure out something else. But don't sit thinking too long because you ain't making no money sitting around thinking either.
No,
Try something.
Got to try it at some point. This next maybe looks like 5 questions is the rapid round. Okay. So yeah, just quick tools and resources that people need. First one would be, what's one tool from a branding perspective do you think an entrepreneur would need or could use?
Clarity. Clarity. Technology changes, but clarity is something that can scale. You can teach yourself just about anything. Yes, you need platforms in order to measure analytics and different things like that. Sure. I do think that given the space that we're in, the reality is that AI technology is here. It would be advantageous for anybody to get some orientation to how AI can build a level of efficiency around what you're doing. Can't build AI to do what it is that you're trying to do. AI is supposed to be in position to help make what you're doing more efficient. And the more you can understand that and demystify that within your own offering, the better you are at moving. But I think the greatest need right now is clarity. Give yourself the opportunity to learn. Technology changes, but clarity, you can scale that anywhere at any point in your career.
And do you have any preferred like online tools that you use opposed to others?
Yeah. So I mean, from a digital standpoint, I use things like for our social media platforms, so we can post once, publish many. It's like Hootsuite, different things like that, so I can get all my metrics in one location. We use standard operations like data analytics that come with our Google Analytics for the purposes of being able to gather all our content in one location. So we can scale, figure out from an SEO standpoint whether or not we're performing from that standpoint. But Hootsuite's a good one. If you're in the press and media standpoint, some of these are incredibly expensive if you're ready to play ball. So don't, find the basic versions of this stuff. You don't need to dive out as well. I work for the preeminent civil rights organization in the nation, and even I'd be cringing paying that invoice each month. So like things like Meltwater for PR news and press and media availability, stuff like that are cool. But in some cases, some of the best things you can do is just build your own correct database so that you can build the right. If you're talking about small businesses, you can do a lot of this legwork yourself by building up the database yourself until you're ready to get to that point. You need to, send out press releases and communications to journalists. Journalists want news. So all of the information is usually available. It's meticulous, but you can find all that information. If you're nice to somebody long enough, you might be able to get somebody to give you a list of journalists as well. But Hootsuite, Meltwater are some that I would lean into. And then also any Google Analytics platforms that are available as well. I think those are ones that would be advantageous to anyone to use.
And the last in the rapid round would be, what would be the best piece of branding advice you have received?
The best piece of branding advice I've received.
To make sure you do your job properly.
If people don't understand you, they can't support you.
If people don't understand you, they can't support you. That's a bar.
Yeah. I got 3 kids. When my children were very, very young, they better be able to be understood now. But if they couldn't express to me what they needed, do you want food? Are you hungry? Are you wet? Do you want to take a nap? It's easier to get people on board with what it is that your vision is when you spent time practicing it, briefing yourself on it, looking yourself in the mirror and saying, this is what I'm trying to do. People get on board. I'm a church boy, write the vision, make it plain. Here it may run. So make it plain to somebody, they can go. They can go with you.
So make it clear, make it plain. Yep. For someone that's leaving the session today who feels overwhelmed about where to start when it comes to branding, what is the first step? Well, what is the advice that you would give them about taking the first step?
Uh, hmm. I ask you, ask yourself what if.
Hmm.
Ask
What?
yourself what if. Curiosity is one of the greatest tools for the creator. Um, if you have a passion for any number of this, and if you're in the branding space, marketing space, you are a creator. I don't care what aspect of it, you are a creator. Anyone who's willing to ask the question, what if, and then explore what that what if is, um, you're built for this. In whatever capacity that ends up in, that's up to you. But the ones who are willing to ask the question and say, what if? I tell my team all the time, and they'll tell you this, that when I'm about to try something that's a little unorthodox, I say, we're about to shake the table. I'm about to
Mhm.
make some stuff uncomfortable. That's me saying, I wonder if I do this, will it resonate with our audience in a way that matters? I'm about to try some stuff. You as a person who may be interested in branding, ask yourself, what if I take this brand and storytelling class and figure out how to copyright. That's another thing I would urge everybody to spend time in. Spend
Mhm.
time on your writing. Um, like I said at the onset, if you can't be understood, you can't be followed. You can't be followed. You can't cultivate anything, right? So
Mhm.
um, ask yourself what if. Spend time with your words. Figure out what makes sense to you. And as a result of that, I think you're going to find that there's a lot more answers to the questions that you're asking, and you'll realize that you're a lot further along in your process than you are actually giving yourself credence to. Ask what if.
Mm. So the last question, uh, at 42,
Mhm.
uh, I would ask is, what does branding for events like MelaninCon and organizations like NAACP, um, what does that actually mean for somebody like you? Born and raised, I didn't even know you was from Alexandria.
Oh yeah,
Born and raised in VA.
yeah. Shout to the highway. I'm a Route One boy. Um, represent for me. It represents power. It represents a space where Black creativity and entrepreneurs and culture are centered. That's what it represents
Mm.
to me. We're not an afterthought in spaces like this. We are at the head of the table. We're the center of the conversation. We are the top of the agenda. We are the main event in moments like
Mhm.
this. That's what spaces like this represent. Safe spaces, powerful spaces, creative spaces.
That's beautiful. And for the everybody that's going to hear this played back, where can they find you and continue to follow and support you?
I appreciate that. You can follow me on Instagram at Trevon Williams. You can follow me on LinkedIn, but you would do me a great favor if you would follow NAACP on Instagram in particular, because we are less than 2,000 followers away from 2 million. And so I would very greatly appreciate it. Even if you don't follow Trevon, if you follow the NAACP, I would be so honored. My boss would love you very much if you were able to do that.
Well, once again, thank you for being the first on this virtual journey this year. Uh, it's only up from here. The gems you shared, I pray and hope that someone listening uh, take it in strides. If y'all have any more questions to ask him, feel free to hit him up. Like you say, he gave you his LinkedIn, his IG. Thank you again. This is part of the Echo series, empowering communities, harnessing opportunities. And I appreciate your time, Trevon. Thank you, brother.